welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming and another recap of Operation Rainfall, our They Came From Classified campaign that is ongoing. One session every month for my Patreons. I currently have a lot of Patreon games going right now, but there are still some spaces, so if any of you want to sign up to get into any of these games, do by all means contact me via MatthewDawkins.com or via patreon.com/MatthewDawkins, and we will get you into a game. Now, where last we left our agents, they had just secured transport to the exotic criminal island of Valverde off the coast of Francoist Spain. But there's been a disaster. You see, one of our players has had to take a break from playing. Luckily, a new player arrived, and so Agent Bob, or Boob, the best operative of Bermuda, who was presently aboard a luxury yacht along with Mimi and Cece, two beautiful young ladies who were once in the entourage of a criminal mastermind by the name of Moroni, decided at this point that he was going to take one of the speedboats attached to the side and sail off towards the African coast, taking an early retirement, thus leaving the group and giving the player a way out and possible return. He has taken early retirement from the agency. Thankfully, he has been replaced with Agent Jaeger, played by another player who will be showing up very shortly into the campaign. Luckily, Davina Stryker was still on the yacht and could pilot it toward Valverde, as well as Agent Mirage, Frank Davenport. So we had our two groups. We've got our two groups of agents. We've got Davenport and Stryker on the luxury yacht of Moroni, now named the Bounty, and we have Agent O and Agent K on a speedboat along with Sylvia, their code breaker from Bletchley Park, also making their way to Valverde. Through some very lucky dice rolls, they completely evaded any coastal patrols, most specifically by the speedboat basically zooming in alongside the yacht so that it avoided any scrutiny, while the yacht actually had papers and a criminal purpose for being there. What's more, Davina Stryker discovered below deck within Moroni's personal belongings a black poker chip with a pound sterling symbol on it, known as the symbol of the casino illicit. Yes, or the illicit casino. It is one of the prime casinos on Valverde, and where they're expecting to find their target, one Monte Carlo, the high-heeled hand killer, who should be able to identify who the leak within the agency is. So, they both arrived in Valverde in their own ways. Our speedboat just zoomed up the beach and, beached itself, while the luxury yacht came in more dignified into the harbour. Our speedboat, with O and K on board and Sylvia, they climbed out where there was a rather handsome gentleman schmoozing, having a cocktail on the beach with some young women. They recognised him as Agent Jaeger, who was here on his own mission to retrieve a diamond necklace stolen from the Queen of England and currently worn around the neck of one Claudia Las Vegas, another one of our criminal masterminds. Identifying him as they did, the young women at his side they felt betrayed. They were told by him that they were the only girls in his life, and now all of a sudden these other two women knew who he was, so they slapped him, threw drinks on him, and wiggled off down the beach. But this left Jaeger to join the party and become abreast of the news, the situation, and why exactly they were there. They made their way to the Hotel Dissident, a hotel which is buried into the cliff face of Valverde and where Jaeger is already staying. The Dissident isn't a very popular hotel, it should be said. It's rather dusty, brutalistic in fashion. It doesn't have the glitz and glamour of the casinos and other bases around the place, which is why they felt it's the perfect place to hide. Originally, the concierge come waiter of the Hotel Dissident was going to be a man by the name of Diego, but he very quickly slipped into being Manuel from Fawlty Towers with an outrageous European accent. I say European because it was neither Spanish nor Italian nor anything else, really. It was just vaguely European. He was speaking like this, which doesn't really sound like much. Anyway, they got to know Manuel and checked in where they made their plans. They decided that they were going to make their way into the casino illicit, dressed as staff, and by doing so, hopefully be able to get to the hotel room of Monte Carlo without setting off too many alarm bells. It was at this point that a criminal they all recognised arrived to likewise check in at the Hotel Dissident, the most guests they'd had all year, probably, Ivan von Krull. Ivan von Krull being a former, well, not just a former, a Nazi war criminal that slipped the noose at Nuremberg and somehow evaded Mossad's agents, was here on Valverde with his gang of stormtroopers. Perhaps due to the current political climate, the player characters decided we don't really want to share a hotel with a Nazi because, you admit one Nazi into your hotel, it becomes a Nazi hotel, as the old saying goes. So they decided to say, fuck cover, to hell with subtlety, and Agent K, who is very proficient at creating devices on the fly. She is our quartermaster, after all, that's our archetype. Produced a pineapple bomb, literally shaped and scented like a pineapple, passed it to Agent O, Ophelia Knightley, who basically jammed it down the back of Ivan von Krull's pants while they were busy. Ivan von Krull and his stormtroopers were beating on Manuel at this time because, you know what Nazis are like. I made them make a roll to see whether Ivan von Krull's trousers were elasticated or not, and it so happened that they were, and the pineapple went down his pants. We never did find out why he associated a pineapple up his ass with the Führer, because he shouted out "Mein Führer" as this jagged bomb was jammed into his bum. But by, again, fortunate dice rolls, when it exploded, they pulled some stormtroopers in the way. And because this is a family action movie, the foyer wasn't then littered with intestines and body parts and gory slop. Instead, just lots of black marks that Manuel can easily mop up. Probably some fine leather boots as well, smoking. Manuel was incredibly grateful and said that you will not be able to get into the casino without a black poker chip that identifies you as one of the criminal elements who's invited there. But I have a green poker chip because I was invited to work as a servant there, and your servants need the green poker chips, so you can have that as thanks for getting rid of these Nazi scum. So he gave them a green poker chip that would allow them to masquerade as serving people at the casino illicit. Meanwhile, our yacht arrived in the harbour, as mentioned, where they were greeted by a one-eyed man with a claw for a hand who wanted to know what they were doing on board Moroni's yacht. After all, it's very rare that Moroni allows anyone to take his yacht out, let alone without his mother present. They made a bit of an excuse about it. Davina Stryker at this point is, of course, using her cover identity of Lacey Pounds. Yes, I know. Don't worry, Ophelia, Agent O, is Amanda Gobeloff, and Priscilla, Agent K, is Glory Von Helsing. Frank Davenport, Agent Mirage, is just Frank Davenport. So, yeah, nothing too outrageous there. But anyway, they made good with the harbour master and the other hench people operating this area. They basically charmed their way in. They were celebrated for their arrival and ushered to a valet, a chauffeur who would take them all the way up to the casino. They met a very attractive, athletic, tall, statuesque, I think we would call her, chauffeur who agreed to drive them up there, amidst a certain amount of flirting between her and Agent Mirage. Presenting their black poker chip at the door, they were allowed in. They met very many, or saw very many characters from the They Came From Classified book around this time. Lots of masterminds and henchmen that appear in that book were in and around the casino, which is, of course, buried into the cliff face of Valverde, surrounded by greenery, but also all the glitz and gold twinkling lights of a casino. Cars as far as the eye could see, but that said, there's not much point owning one on an island as small as Valverde, so they're all for hire if you want one. Good prices, too. Either way, they entered the casino, the illicit casino, on the lookout for Monte Carlo. Well, showing up, they were wowed by the glitz and glamour of this place. There was gambling, of course, in every corner. It is a casino, after all, but other entertainments too. Most of the gambling up front looks of the legitimate variety. Poker, blackjack, faro, one-armed bandits, and such. But undoubtedly, there are rooms back there where more illicit, hence the name, gambles can be placed, such as on fights, fights to the death, on the state of the world, on rather large, you could call them massive weapons, and the damage they might be able to do. This kind of thing all takes place at the casino illicit, and right now, as interested as they are, as much as they want to destroy the casino, they are looking for Monte Carlo. Unfortunately, something grabs their attention. It is Marshal Petrosian, one of our masterminds from They Came From Classified, who is currently losing at blackjack. He storms off, but as he does so, he recognises Davina Stryker because they have had a liaison before. There's a bit of a flirt, bit of a threat taking place, and then Frank Davenport steps in. You see, he recognises Davina Stryker as one of her previous cover identities. He doesn't know that she's an agent, but Frank Davenport didn't want to take that risk. So Agent Mirage stepped in and started insulting Marshal Petrosian's communism. Well, a fist fight started out, I can tell you. Petrosian and Davenport rather effortlessly and futilely swinging fists, and both of them missing repeatedly. We did about 3 rounds of combat where neither succeeded in hitting the other. At which point, Claudia Las Vegas, complete with her Jewels of the Queen necklace, entered. Bang! Ceasing the fight, she said, "There will be no fighting that takes place in my casino without my express order. You're disturbing the gamblers." And indeed they had. Lots of the gamblers had basically gathered around in a circle around this Petrosian Davenport match and were starting to place bets, all without Las Vegas's approval. She doesn't like that, so she split them up and invited Davenport and Stryker up to her private gambling quarters, where more interesting bets can be placed. So they followed her into her exclusive elevator. Gold doors with a £1 sign on it, the symbol of the casino illicit. Meanwhile, our other three, Agent O, Agent K, and Agent Jaeger, were making their way into a tunnel that led beneath the casino, the servants' entrance, basically. They met up with a guard who very threateningly pointed a submachine gun at them until they produced their green poker chip. It was quite apparent from the way the servants here, the maids, the waiters, the chauffeurs, their faces were downcast, they didn't want to make eye contact with anyone, that everyone is here under a certain sense of duress. They're not necessarily enslaved, but it's quite possible that even though they earn some money, they can't get off of the island, and they're treated horribly by the criminals here. Agent Jaeger wasn't of a mind to dress up in the rather fetish wear style of the maids and croupiers at this casino, and so he decided he would go in as a guard. He wanted to get the green poker chip back because it's a one-way trip. If you can't present the poker chip again, you're not going to be getting in again. So he picked the pocket of the guard he encountered on the way, and a guard wearing a very stylish white helmet with a black jumpsuit with gold stripes down the side. He's a henchman. And he succeeded with something like 5 hits, so he took directorial control, didn't just take a bundle of green poker chips, also claimed a red one. What did the red one mean? Well, he quickly calculated that is the poker chip the guards use. So he wanted to disguise himself as a guard. He presented it to the guards, found out that the guards get bonuses, gold teeth for some reason. They actually get their teeth extracted and replaced with gold ones for every person they shoot who happens to be betraying, working against the Valverde enterprise. So he entered, got dressed into a guard's uniform, and with the other two smuggled themselves aboard an elevator. Again, they encountered more of the staff that work here, all of them very downcast, abused. It became clear that someone's got to disrupt this operation, and it's going to be these agents. As Agent K made her way, dressed as a maid, to Monte Carlo's room, because she and Sylvia decided to stop by the administration office of the casino hotel to work out exactly where Monte Carlo was staying. And while Sylvia completely flubbed the attempt, Agent K was more successful and then tased the man who interfered. They got to Monte Carlo's room very easily, and they rummaged through his belongings very easily. They discovered a suitcase full of shoes, one shoe of each type. It had a pistol in, custom design. It also contained a manila wallet that marked Monte Carlo as wanted dead by Phantom, one of the core enemy agencies. Why is Monte Carlo? Why has he been burned? What did he do that made the other criminals turn on him? He wasn't in the room, but this sent Agent K's mind racing. Well, Sylvia and Agent K then discovered something in the bathroom. The cistern of the toilet had been absolutely jam-packed with plastic explosives and a detonator. It would appear Monte Carlo is at a loose end. He is a live wire, and at some point he is just going to be setting this entire casino to explode. Agent K set up a remote device so that she could take advantage of this explosive should she need to. Agent O, meanwhile, made her way, to the casino floor, where she subbed in as a new croupier, or was going to, but identifying Monte Carlo at one of the tables, went up to him, because his luck had clearly turned. He was agitated, he was angry. Agent O didn't know this was because he'd been betrayed by Phantom, and said to him, would sir like a private table? We're just opening one up for you, where your luck may indeed change. Her disguise was strong enough that Monte Carlo didn't immediately recognize her, despite the fact Agent O is the agent who took his hand that has been replaced with a high heel shoe. He has a different hand each for any given occasion, and within his jacket he has many different shoes, one from each of his victims. He agreed to head over to a table with Agent O, where an interrogation may begin, where Monte Carlo may yield the information that they seek. Of course, Agent O doesn't know that Monte Carlo is here on a one-way suicide mission. Agent K hasn't reached her yet, and meanwhile Stryker and Davenport are headed upstairs to the penthouse, not somewhere you want to be if the building starts collapsing. And then we have Jaeger, who is currently patrolling the floor dressed as a guard. He has seen Stryker and Davenport head upstairs. Maybe he can be the liaison that brings the party together. We shall find out next time on They Came From Classified. Thank you very much for watching, as always. And once again, patreon.com/Matthew Dawkins should you wish to join any of these games. Thanks for watching.